All right, today we are going to add a Santa Stop Here sign to our front porch decor for the dollhouse. Stay tuned and see how fun and easy this one is to make. All right, our first step is going to be to start making the post for our stop sign. So I've got a wooden skewer and I've got a little 1/2 inch wooden spool. Now, I've realized that this fits in pretty well, but it's a little too long. So I'm gonna grab a pencil and I want to cut off a little bit more than that. Claw trimmers are great for cutting round things like dowels, toothpicks, wooden skewers, stuff like that that you don't want to flatten. Now I'm going to put just a little bit of tacky glue on the end of this. I'm not going to trim the top of this until after I mark and paint this because it'll be easier to paint if I have something to hold on to. And push that in firmly. Wipe off the excess glue. And let that glue at least set up for a little bit so that it doesn't move on us while we're trying to paint. All right, my glue has had a chance to get a little bit set up. It doesn't need to be all the way dry. And I know that I'm going to want to cut this just under 3 inches tall. So I'm going to mark this at 3 inches. That way I can paint up to that line, and then when I get ready to trim it, I can measure it again and make it exactly the height I want. So I'm using some of the white paint that Plaid sent me. It's an apple barrel white. And I'm going to put it there and use one of the nice brushes they sent me, and I am going to this. And this will probably take 2 coats, especially on the bamboo skewer, because they're not meant for painting, you know, they're meant for using in food, and they're not really meant to do what we're doing with them. Now we might need to glue a base onto the bottom of this. I'm hoping to not, but I'm going to keep that option open until I get it done, and then I'll make that decision. Because I'm not sure if this spool is going to have a big enough diameter to make this stable enough to stand up on its own. We will find out together. So I am going to let this paint dry all the way, and I'll give it another coat or 2 or 3, depending on how many coats it takes to make this a nice white. And when that's accomplished, I will be back and we'll go to the next step. All right, I've got 3 coats of paint on this, and I did try to stand it up, and it's not going to be stable enough. So I need to make a base for it. So I'm going to do that and then paint this after the glue dries. I had on my craft table just a chunk of one of those jumbo craft sticks from Walmart. You know, the big ones I've been using so much. I cut 2 pieces that are square. And you can see this was obviously one I had used for something else. So what I'm going to do, I've got the grain, this is the inside so you can see. The grain lines are this way on this one, they're this way here. What I'm going to do is turn them. So the grain lines are going this way on one and cross on the other, and since they're square, that will be fine. My hope is, since this is such thin wood, that will help it to not warp as much. That's why I'm using 2 layers. If you have a piece of wood or a wood shape that's about the right size, use that. And your size can be anything you want it to be. So let's put some tacky glue in there, and I'm going to clamp this really well on all, in fact I'm going to do the corners, I think. All 4 corners. And then I'll sand, when this glue is set up, I'm going to sand the edges so that they're nice and smooth, and put some coats of white paint on this so that it will be ready for us when the paint's dry on there. Then this paint will be ready and we can go ahead and get the base on and then make our sign. All right, now first thing we're going to do is create a pattern, and then we're going to draw our stop sign, or make our stop sign. So I was trying to think, how could I make an easy to replicate octagon pattern? Because an octagon is not the easiest shape, and I suppose we could do this just a round sign, but you know, a stop sign is an octagon, so I thought we probably would want to do the right shape. So I just drew around my paint jar, and that was just a piece of paper from my computer printer. It's just plain white copy paper, printer paper, whatever you want to call it. I drew around my paint bottle, as you saw, anything that's, you know, good size. This is, and I have yet to get my octagon exactly even and symmetrical, but we're just going to go with it. So cut out your circle. This is going to be our pattern for our first cut. So we're going to fold this in half, and then we're going to fold it in half the other way, crosswise. Oops, it's not quite in half. There we go. Now we'll do that. So now we've got it in fourths. Fold your side pieces up to meet. And score it really well. Going from the point and trying to get this as even as you can. And then what I did for my, because I did one just to see if this was going to work. Trying to start at this point, and I'm going to try and cut straight across to that point. Just take off the round of this in those little areas. And what we get is a pretty good octagon. Now I'm making mine out of white, and I'm not going to paint my stop sign red. I know a stop sign should be red, but then I would need a white pen, and I don't have a white pen. My white gel pen quit working for me. And I don't want to have to try and paint all the lettering on this. So I'll show you what we're going to do. First, we're going to create a stop sign. Oh, and what I'm drawing on here, this is just a piece of white, plain white cardstock. This is heavier than regular, like, paper. This is what you would do scrapbooking on or make cards out of. And since I discovered really early on trying to make up prototypes for this, sorry, I'm not under camera. Give me a second to get this cut out. This octagon does not come out completely symmetrical, so I found a workaround. So we're going to cut on the lines, and you can even yours up however much you need to, or like I said, if you've got a pattern for an octagon, even better, but I know not everyone would have one. And let me cut a strip of paper here so that I stand a chance of keeping this under camera. Now, get this scrap paper back because I've got a glue stick. This is our cardstock octagon that we just cut out. And I know you probably can't see much of what I'm doing here, but I glued it on. I know, white on white. And I'm going to cut it out. And I'm actually going to repeat this probably 2 more times. So I'll do it once more for you here on camera, and then I'm going to finish up off camera because I need to get it where I can see it better too. if you cut each layer as you go, you're only cutting one piece of paper at a time. So that's 2 layers. I'm going to coat that, what am I doing, with glue. I'm going to glue that back on here. And I'm going to cut around this, and then I'm going to glue it to the strip again and make a 4th layer, so it's 4 layers thick. When I get that done, I'll come back and we'll move on to decorating the sign. All right, I now have 4 layers of cardstock glued together. It's not perfect, but it will be okay. I'm okay with the way it's done. So now I'm using my gridded ruler to make some lines, because without lines, I can't make things be straight. I'm kind of lining this up so that it's, give me my, line here. All right, now I'm going to write the word stop. It's going to be a tall, skinny stop. Remember, we're using pencil, so if you don't like your lettering, you can erase it. Right here. And I'm going to write Santa like that. All right, now I have a red ballpoint pen. It's either a ball, I think it's a ballpoint. I don't think it's a gel pen. Not sure. It's one I use in my planner. So now, just try to draw over that. And it's not going to trace exactly where I wrote the first time. If you want to have your sign red and your lettering white, you'll need something like a white gel pen, which my white gel pen died on me, and I haven't gotten to the craft store to get a new one in a very long time. I keep forgetting when I go anywhere that has them that I need to get one. So there's that. And I tested this out earlier, and I had no problem with any smearing when I erased, so hopefully that will still be the case here. If you use a white eraser, you will have a cleaner job of erasing, by the way. And normally for doing this not on camera, I would have made my pencil lines quite a bit lighter. I was trying to make them so that they would still come off but be dark enough that you guys could see on camera. Now I have one of my red alcohol markers. This is just a Bic one. And I'm going to go from the back, and I'm going to do the edge in red. It's kind of a reverse stop sign, because the stop sign is normally red with white border and white letters. So we've got a white stop sign with that stuff in red. Now I'm not going to seal this with Mod Podge because I don't know if my ink would run or not. So let's see if I get just a little bit more around the edge. There. All right. Now this can sit off to the side for that ink to all dry, and let's go ahead and get this trimmed. So my paint, yes, my paint is all dry. There's where I put these. I'm going to trim this just below where my paint started. I am going to attempt to find the center of this. The wood parts I am going to seal with Mod Podge. Now you could paint any parts of this red if you wanted to. You could even make this post red and white candy striped. I thought about doing that, but I was afraid I would mess it up on camera. There we go, and let's see, yes, I have a little bit of white paint here. So that can, there. I'm going to let that glue dry, and I might, actually, I think I am going to add some red trim to the bottom of that. So I'm going to let that glue dry, and when that's dry and that white paint on top's dry, we'll come back, we'll add some red trim to this, and then we can glue our sign on when it's all finished and dry. All right, I am more than a little bit nervous here about messing this up, but I don't want this white. The more I look at it, the more I see I need red on here. So, I've got some red paint. This is just some Anita's craft paint in True Red. I've been using it on a lot of my Christmas projects. The ones that have red on them on the channel, that's the red I'm using. So let's see if I can, first let's pull that loose hair out of my brush. Or let's trim that hair. Okay, when you have a hair like that, we don't want to leave that there. Okay. As much of the red off my thumb as I can. All right, now. Hopefully I'm not boring you to death here, but we'll get this turned into like a candy cane. Well, I will continue that off camera. I think I'm also going to go ahead and paint this part of the spool. And then when I'm all done with I'll turn the camera off to finish the candy cane part. When I get that all striped, this all filled in, I'm also going to do just the edges on this square base. When the paint is dry, I'll come back and we'll go on to the next step. All right, I've used some of that poster tack stuff to put this onto a craft stick so I can easily coat it with Mod Podge. The stripes are pretty good. They're not perfect, but they'll be fine. I've got some satin Mod Podge here on my little makeshift palette. And I am just going to coat the entire piece here with the Mod Podge. I won't make you watch me do the whole thing. Just wanted to check in with you, let you know how it's going, what we're doing here. So I'll get this coated. Probably just one coat will be fine. And then when that's dry, I'll come back and we can glue our sign on. All right, now that the Mod Podge is dry, pick out whichever side of your post you like the best. I think this is going to be my front. And we're just going to glue our sign on. So, let's see, about how far down? Got to there. Try and get your sign straight. And I'm going to hold this for a couple of seconds, and then I'm just going to let it dry, and when it's all dry, we'll come back and we'll add some glitter to represent some snow. So I'll be right back. All right, here is our Santa Stop Here sign. Let's add some glitter. I've got some pearl glitter. Just add a little sparkle. I am going to add a little bit above, along the top, over here on the sign. And I'm also going to add to the top of this stand. And then I'm going to add quite a bit. I'm using Mod Podge. I don't think I forgot to mention that. It's been a very long day and I'm kind of half asleep at this point. It's getting late. So I'm adding a nice, fairly thick coat of Mod Podge down there, and it's just the Mod Podge that was left from putting the clear finish onto the sign. Now I am going to, let's see, a little bit more up there. I don't want to get down onto the ink, onto the pen ink, but on the Sharpie or the Bic Market, I know it's okay. So I'm going to, and I'm doing this over a piece of computer paper, printer paper. You can use any kind of paper. That way it'll catch my glitter, and I can dump what's left, what doesn't stick, I can dump back into my jar of glitter and have it for next time. So I'm going to let that Mod Podge dry, and when that's completely dry, I'll come back and we can get a look at this and see how it looks in front of the dollhouse. Alright, the Mod Podge is all dried, so our glitter is now all permanently attached to this. Using this method, you don't really get the fallout too badly once the Mod Podge is set up. If you rub it really hard, you'll get some glitter off, but it's not bad. So let's go put this on the front porch of the dollhouse and see how it looks. Be right back. All right, there it is in place on the front porch of the dollhouse. This is so cute. I love how that turned out. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, push the like button. Leave me a comment. I try to get back to everybody. I read them all. I don't always have time to respond. If you enjoy my content and you haven't subscribed, I really suggest you hit that subscription button and ring the notification bell so you know when I put up another video. Check out the Facebook page and the blog post. Links are always in the description box, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.